evening. How are we?
Hello, everyone. We made it. It's been a rough start. This is the problem when you have kids and you got to get them to bed and everything. But no one's here, so they don't know what we started like. You're looking presented and dressed as ever, Annabel.
Well, I thought, why not add a little bit of pizzazz this evening? Actually, I just lost track of time while I was scrolling Twitter. And next thing you know, here we are, sweeties. It's been the mood of the week.
Well, they were very muddy on Survivor, so it's appropriate that you have been clean and refreshed.
That's right, team.
Did anyone else think that challenge was absurd?
Crazy. Like it was almost set up to fail, a challenge like that. In the slippery mud, crazy conditions, it was just bound for injuries to happen.
Yeah, I was surprised. I actually thought that Shauna's ribs had been broken. That crack, I don't know if they added that as a sound effect after the show because it sounded incredibly bad.
Look. In fairness, I don't think we're giving Pinty enough credit here. She was angry, she was hungry, and she wanted to inflict a little bit of pain there. I reckon that was something coming, and they had that little edit where her tribe was saying that she's going to explode, and next minute she's laying in the elbow on Shona's poor ribs. So
I think after an hour, there's a backstory to this challenge because I don't see how this got past testing. Like there was no way it was ever going to get completed. It was absurd, and just I'm surprised not many people did their ankles. Like the thing was just rolling over everybody.
Well, they did. So I wanted to pull up a tweet by Kalani. So Kalani, I'm sure there were plenty of rolled ankles. The only injuries we saw were from Steph and from Shona. But Kalani tweeted, right knee dislocated, 3 torn ligaments, and a honeycomb bone bleed. Strapped and went back into the game.
Crazy.
Tough.
Like, that's absurd.
Do you know who isn't tough as nails? Dino, who apparently that challenge went for about 6 hours, and it looks like he never went into it. He looked clean as...
Well, sweetie, he doesn't want to get his flippers dirty. It might cause an infection.
Yeah. I agree. I would have been pulling the flippers excuse if I was him too. And I'm sure that's what he did. Because honestly, it seemed like it went for 6 hours. He just sat there on a bench the whole time. I think did Shane go in as well? Or was it only Dino that missed?
There was someone else who was clean. I don't know if it was from that tribe or the other one. I mean, I'm guessing they needed to have equal numbers of men and women.
Yeah.
And not everyone has been on the Dante feminist campaign, which I did want to start with. I know I gave Dante a really hard time last week about not having the total package. But Dante as a feminist icon is just a plot twist none of us saw coming. Max, I mean, first of all, the fact Max chose him.
It looks like I have good taste. I have good taste in the men I pick. Clearly, I picked them for who they are as a person. Gentle giants.
A one-man mission to make sure we have a record number of women in the post-merge. Who would have thought?
And the greatest thing about it is he will get absolutely voted off, like, at the merge. If there's like 10 women in him, he's gone. He's not, as soon as he doesn't win a challenge, he is gone.
Like I know CK, you've lost a lot of picks early, but the fact that I went for the strategy of picking all males may come back and bite me in the ass because of bloody Dante of all people. Of all people, Dante is going to be my downfall.
I've got a weird vibe going into this week, whereas like the first week we came onto this podcast and I just remembered everything that happened. I was very attuned to it. And as I was getting ready for tonight, I'm like, I can't really remember what happened. And I feel like I'm just shell-shocked from losing my boy Chappies, then my boy PK, then my boy Tevin. We remember how much I loved Tevin in this last episode that we did. And
you said he was going to win.
It was your winner pick and you lost
like,
next episode.
The next episode with, what did he have in his pocket, CK? To rub wound and salt.
He went out with an item.
Wound.
And, it and now I'm left with, from a picks point of view, Kalani, who seems lovely, but is getting zero edit. Like,
She
I've got,
might be getting the Nicole edit. You never know.
well,
CK.
that's true. Nicole did win. That came out of nowhere. And I've also got Palessa, who, comparatively to her prior season, is getting no edit. Like, she was a very big character on her prior season, and she's got nothing going on here almost. But she could be a developing edit. That's possible. And who else do I have left?
I think that's it,
God.
honey.
You have Steffi. You have Steffi. CK.
Oh, Steffi. Oh my God! Like, do you think Steffi could convince a jury of people to vote for her if her life depended on it?
She is doing much better this season. Everyone seems to love Steffi at the moment. Well, I mean, except for her new tribe. There's some, Pinty, but in fairness, Pinty doesn't love a lot of people. Real great pick there, Schneider.
Hey,
devastated.
the way this is going, Schneider's going to have more people than me in a couple of weeks.
I'm with you on that. Well, should we start with the first episode? So, in the first episode, that was probably one of the most exciting ones of the week. So we start out, they've had the easy vote of Tanya, and they're kind of gearing together to potentially do another easy vote with Pinty. But my man Phil, who I think is actually Max's man Phil. No, was he my man Phil?
No, it's Max. It was one of Max. Max chose him because he was the only man remaining when it came to that pick.
Is that the case? Was that the case?
Yes. He was the last.
It was the case. He was, and you know what? He's getting a very good edit at the moment. So
yeah, I'd give him the winner's edit at the moment. He looks good.
He's looking strong.
He rallies Felix and Dino to flip on Seamus and Tevin, to take out Tevin. What did you think about how they played that one, CK?
It was incredible. The three of them have got a very strong alliance. It's pushing through the swap as well. I think they're three similar sort of players with similar sort of finishes in their prior season. I think they all come from the same place. And Phil, it's perfect for Phil because I don't think, like, if he goes to the end with any of these three, like, he'll cut Dino. Dino's going to get the heat. Everyone's going to think Dino's doing this stuff and not Phil. So he's sort of like the 2IC to Dino, but he's not. He's really the guy in charge, but Dino will cop the heat. No one likes Felix. Felix won't win. So if he goes to the end with Felix, it's a great outcome. Dino will be the target if someone turns on their alliance. And to be honest, we're getting to the point now where Pinty won't ever get voted off. Like, no one's giving the money to Pinty. And we've gone through enough episodes now that the easy vote is not the focus anymore. It's now always the strategic vote. So why would you ever now vote off Pinty? Ever.
That's true.
You know what? I think I agree. First of all, Pinty forever. We love her, gay icon. But there is one crucial person who loves Felix, and that is our feminist pick of the season, Dante. Dante and Felix had an unbreakable bond in their first season. Felix was undyingly loyal to Dante. Felix now seems to have that bond with, I can't remember if it's Dino or Phil based on the exit interviews, but I'm pretty sure it's Dino. I think that there could be Felix could be the last man standing once Dante's wreaked his havoc on everyone else.
Hopefully not. I feel like the no BS alliance, as what CK alluded to before, will make it far. And what you didn't mention was that they're all my picks. So I'm loving life at the moment. I love watching them do well. It's good TV for me. And then you even have Dante.
You've lost
Dante doing awesome. No. I have lost a pick, and that was Seamus. But I'm talking about the core alliance in the game at the moment, or the strongest one playing behind the scenes or in out loud. Are Max's picks. So loving life. How good.
True.
So did you think it was a good move to flip on Tevin and cause division within the pre-mergers? Or do you think they should have taken out Pinty, Max?
I feel it was definitely the strategic move of at that point in the game, because Pinty obviously the easy target, and they sold that really well, and she even played that so well to make Tevin and others believe that it
Yeah.
was her.
Can we give a hand to Pinty?
Yeah.
They told her, you're going to have to go hard at Kalani, and that's who we should be voting out, and blah,
she
blah, blah.
smashed that.
Actually have a fight with her at Tribal Council, and it was spectacular. Like, there is no way, they weren't like,
Yeah.
Tevin has an idol, so we need to make sure he doesn't know what's going on. But he would have had no doubt that there was a Pinty Kalani thing. Like, it was so well put together by Pinty. Because she doesn't give two fucks what Kalani thinks about it. So that's what
it was awesome. I need to apologize to Pinty. I think I gave her a really rough start in the first week. I was against her, but I feel like she's actually great TV. I'm really enjoying her. Like her takes and what she's saying about the tribe, and just her really carefree attitude. And mixed in with the little alliance she has with Teresa as well. I'm loving that little joy there.
I think some of the best part of this season so far has been the opportunity for these characters who didn't get a great run or a great edit in their first season to really shine. Like, Teresa was just a nothing person to me from her original season. She just did nothing, said nothing, barely memorable. And that, I'm sure she was interesting, but that was the edit they gave her. They didn't give her any quality. Now they're showing her best bits, and she's fantastic. Pinty's on a whole new level as a character, because they're showing her bad bits and her good bits, but it's all great TV. Dino, they're showing a different side of him as opposed to being one-sided. Felix is getting a different side from just being like the angry guy who's like in the tent. Even Tanya got like a better edit of herself. It's still her, but I feel like all these, and Seamus, of course, he had his whole redemption thing where he got booted. Like, the only person in this tribe that probably didn't get that so much is Tevin, and Tevin was a huge part of his season. Like, you knew all about Tevin. We didn't need more Tevin if he's going to go this early. So I feel like they've done a real justice to those people who, are really coming back for that redemption.
Yeah, we love this pre-mergers.
And a lot of the players are likable as a viewer. There's no real person that I'm rooting against, if that makes sense. Obviously, I want my picks to do well, but in terms of watching the show as a whole, the editing team has done a really, really good job of encompassing a lot of different perspectives, as you said.
Oh, I mean,
it's been very enjoyable as a pre-merge start. It's been solid.
What did you think about the challenge in this first episode, Max? Can you remember what it was? I cannot.
I'm trying to. Was that the one where they had to roll over? Dino was in the cart and had to roll over.
Oh yeah, they're in the cart. Yeah, and Dino was in the little cart, and they had to grab.
And then he had the lighthouse puzzle.
The lighthouse. That was, I think, for food. I think it was maybe in the second episode. He beat Tony in that challenge. That was the spin the wheel, make a deal one.
And that's true. It was a reward. Was it the outplay slide puzzle? That was an immunity. Yeah, I think it could be that one, because this is before the swap. Oh no, that might have been the Seamus boot. I think that was the Seamus boot. I'm having a little blank on actually.
Who cares? Moving on.
Yeah.
It wasn't memorable, obviously.
No, it wasn't as memorable as Mud Pit 2000. That was you're not going to forget that one. It was absurd, but you won't forget it. I did like the little cart one though. I enjoyed that.
So actually, we had all pre-merge tribe members leave this week, because even after the swap, we lost my first, and she was so lovely, actually. Sorry to skip over Seamus briefly, but Shona was an angel in the exit interviews. This is where her and I deviate. Otherwise, she is South African Annabel, but let's be honest, as if you wouldn't be a little bit salty at old mate Phil. But
how close were her and Phil?
So Phil voted her out in the original season. And I do attest, yes, if you once someone writes your name down, you don't ever forgive them, especially if you actually go out. And even Tevin
they dated for a while. Shona and Phil.
dating. She didn't date Phil, no.
Oh, I saw you said they go out. That's what you said. So I thought
No,
maybe they dated.
especially if you vote if someone writes your name down and then you also are voted out. So it's not just like a hinky vote.
I appreciate your shock there, by the way, because I think that would have been an incredible achievement for Phil to get Shona to date him.
I know. That's darling. Don't us over here that we do love Phil. I'm you know what? Phil's a little bit sexy. I'm jumping all over the place here, but I've started developing feelings for Phil this week. And I
even with this Shona vote. So it seemed like you were building up to I don't like Phil because I love Shona, and now it's actually I like Phil.
We can't jump too far.
Shona should be a little bit salty about that, but she wasn't. She said, look, I never really trusted Phil because he voted me out the first time round, but we did have a pre-existing relationship, but Dino was my number one and no hard feelings. So that was ending that thought. Next thought, the only thing I want this season is for Dino and Phil to passionately make out in the mud. I can't believe we were robbed of that.
Either of them that way inclined?
No, but I am manifesting it into reality. I am manifesting it. It will
It's
happen.
2020. It's 2022, and sexuality is fluid, so anything could happen.
We're all a little bit gay, honey. Heterosexuality is a myth.
Yeah, the Greeks knew it, and we know it.
It's true. So watch this space team.
Not changing topic, but the challenge that we forgot, CK, was when they had to run through each other.
It was the Australian Survivor Challenge. It's the David Shawn Challenge. Yeah,
it was that one. So as a reward and an immunity challenge, it's a pretty quick. It's tough.
It's been better done on Australian Survivor.
It was a blowout.
It
wasn't too good.
Yeah, we didn't probably need it. That wasn't worth circling back for, I would suggest.
Sorry, it's okay.
I know. Give you the challenge.
Give me one job, and
I tell you one thing about the not trusting someone who wrote your name down. You absolutely shouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust someone whose name I wrote down. I couldn't believe that they wouldn't want revenge and they wouldn't take the chance at revenge. It's a free, guilt-free vote. If you voted someone out and then you play with them again, what could you possibly say? Even if you've got a relationship, what could you possibly say when they boot you? It's like flicking, what's her name, an Australian Survivor. Like, they were besties after that season, but she still voted her out at All Stars. And what's she going to say? Like, you voted me out.
And to that point, Tevin was saying in his exit interview, I'm best friends with PK and Tony in real life, but I was gutted when I saw PK was voted out because he blindsided me on my first season and I wanted to be the one to vote him out. Yeah. So you can't. When Max and I were pre-planning our draft, the first thing we did was go through and document who voted for whomst in their first season. You've got to keep an eye on that because...
Hang on. Were you planning together? Was there collusion going on that I wasn't aware of?
We did.
Absolutely not.
This is an outrage.
We did not plan our order. We didn't... Well, I would have colluded. Don't get me wrong. I would have colluded. But Mr. Goody Two Shoes over there was like, oh, don't tell me which ones you want because then I'll feel bad about picking them. So we only did the pre-research together. Because
it's just like sharing notes before the test, CK.
We did.
You can study as much as you want together, but when it comes to the test, you have to be the one who does it yourself. So
we did.
I'm at a severe disadvantage being in a different state and not being sexually engaged with one of you. This is a huge disadvantage.
Look,
CK, next time if you want to come pre-draft and...
That was a really inappropriate stutter.
There is the only solution to this, and I do not consent.
The rigor of the...
I don't think my wife would consent either, so we'll keep it that way, and we'll take the risk of the partiality of the drafting situation. Okay, so we lost Tevin. I was
Yeah.
devastated.
What do you think? What do you think that we didn't go over the significance of him going home with an idol as well, though, and the fact no one knew about it?
Well, it just gave them a chance to put another bazillion idols in the game. Like, I don't know about you, but it feels like there's a lot of fucking advantages out there this season. Does anyone else agree with that?
Yes, and wasn't it hilarious at one of the tribals? I think it was was it the last one or the second one, where someone said, I think it was Shane Bliss, and he was like, and you know what I really like about this season? There's not been that many idols. There's not that many idols and advantages out there. It's like a nice, smooth, old school season. I'm like, oh, honey, if you only knew.
If you only knew. And you've got Tevin had an idol. Josh says more idols than Backyard Survivor season 3. Yeah, look, yeah.
Hey, honey, don't get the reference, but I freaking agree.
There are a lot. So, like, Steffi's got an idol. So, firstly, there were the idols that were good for the first 3 that were at each camp. They're gone now. There was the idol that was given, the Outpost idol, which was given to Tevin. Then there's been another 2 idols found at camps, which are like long-term idols, which Tevin had, then lost. Then has been refound by
Steffi has one.
Steffi
Dino,
has one.
Dino found it.
Yeah, then they hid another 2 based on the Outpost clue that Dante and Tajan have, where they need to basically swap them. There's like and
Marion
immunity,
has
yeah.
Marion has the mutiny
Diplomatic
idol
immunity.
as well.
Yeah. There's an absurd amount. Plus, there's 2 fake idols hidden at Tribal Council.
Do those fake idols come in play now? Or Seamus and Shona were the ones who hid them? Like, what's going on?
But Shona told Dino about it. Or did she tell Tevin about it? I think she told Tevin about it. But there's people who know about the idols that are hidden at Tribal.
Crazy.
Maybe, but maybe not. It is chaos.
Too many advantages. It's like, it's way too many. Like,
oh, I'll tell you what we've not spoken about. Episode 2, I was like, what was going on at the post-mergers? What was going on at the post-mergers? They have the pre-mergers win the reward, and they bring Tony and Tajan over to enjoy the reward feast with them. Queen Tony spills the tea, tells them everything that's going down. Tajan's like, oh, girl. Everybody back at the post camp's like, oh, my God, I bet Tony's out there telling them everything. And Tony's like, sit down, ladies. Let me tell you everything. Thoughts, feelings.
I think she actually did say, let me spill the tea. Like, classic Tony.
I think she did.
She did. I was straight onto that.
I think it was a smart play because, number one, South Africa generally has like 2 swaps. So this first swap was definitely going to happen sooner than later. And you want to be a person that's like, she was pretty much on the bottom of the tribe anyway. She's on the bottom. She's waiting for the swap. She wants to be seen as the person that no matter which tribe she gets swapped to, she's not with the post-merge group. So it was a perfect scenario for her to get that goodwill and get that positioning and then be in a position to improve her situation at a swap. And I think the person who played it really well was Tajan, because he went along with it. And then when he was talking back at the camp, and I'm not sure who he was talking to, I think it might have been Shane, he was just like, so this is what happened. This is what happened. And they're like, and you just had to go along with it and back it up. It's like, yeah, I had to. Like, what else could I do? I can't just like be like, be quiet, Tony. Like, and so he got the benefit of it as well, not probably to the same extent, but to a level where he was seen as being also sort of on the bottom, which he was. He wasn't really on the bottom. He was just sort of in the middle, and he's not really with anybody. He has like no alliance. He has nothing.
That you're full of crap.
Tajan
is firmly part of the Philippines alliance. So he's firmly with Tony, PK, Tajan, a little bit with Palesa as well.
That alliance is dead.
And half of them are decimated. They're all
Yeah.
decimated.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
so now he's got Tony, very definitely in with Tony, but has backstabbed her slightly. You know what?
Yeah.
I think I've got a gun team. I think Tajan could win because he has got little relationships, but as you say, he's the only one from his season. And he's quite a bit of an unknown. He's doing great, sweetie.
That's definitely the swing position.
Yeah, swing position. He's in the middle. He's a smooth player. Doesn't seem to rub anyone the wrong way, and he's not given the impression that he's trying to take over anything. That he's trying to be flashy. Like Dante, has to be insane, right? To think he's going to get to the end with the way he's playing. It's bigger than anything. Which I'm sure he's loving. He's the big guy. He's the big man on campus. But he just get cut. He will get cut as soon as anyone feels like it. I think his best chance is to be the merge boot.
Dude, I was just going to say, I feel he has big merge boot energy.
Yeah. Because if he wants to survive the merge, he needs to win lots of challenges.
I don't think Dante's going to make the merge. I'm calling it. Dante doesn't make the merge.
He's also, he's the sort of guy that you could bring to your final tribal, and if somebody just says something slightly wrong to him or gets has an angry comment at him, he'll lose his shit and just spin off this planet with outrage at Final Tribal Council, which would be amazing.
Everyone dislikes him already. He's already lost his shit at everybody.
And Liz agrees. Yeah,
Liz does agree. I think, okay, but he's not got the pinty benefit of being obnoxious and also not trying to lead every vote. The problem with Dante is classic small dick energy, as we have covered before, plus he also constantly needs to be in charge and driving every vote. And I think there's going to come a time when Meryl gets over it and Meryl and Marion turn around. He's gone before merge. Thank you, Liz. Liz agrees with me, not with you, CK. There ain't no final two for Dante.
Yeah. Well, I agree. He'll get cut sooner than later, but he'll get that idol, you'd assume.
Well, it was interesting when he spoke to.
He got it. He got it.
Yeah, basically he got it, but he needs to swap it with Tajan's.
And
he was in the mud.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Dante was dumb. You want to say it, Max?
Well, you know what I'm thinking. When they were tackling each other in the mud, one of them whispered into each other. I think Tajan whispered into Dante's ear, "Have you found the idol?" And he shook his head or said no.
No, he should have said yes. You need to get yours, and then we can swap them. They had hours in that mud just hugging each other to talk about this. And he should have said, "I know where it is. It's this here at the well. Go and get it, and then we can swap them."
I must have missed that.
Unless it was really poorly edited, where it happened the night of that challenge, and he finds it then. Dante finds the idol then. This is just a big stretch.
Possible.
But I feel like it's a silly move from Dante.
I thought it was just an instant reaction in the mud, and he thinks, "Oh, I better not tell him that I found it." So I'll just play dumb, and then and how am I gonna? Because I'm not going to be able to communicate to him everything. I'm not going to be able to communicate. Liz likes your point, Max. You can't trust the timing. But let's just say, I'm not going to tell him everything that I need to tell him. He doesn't realize they're going to be lying in the mud together for an hour. And once he sort of said no in the spur of the moment, it's hard to walk that back and go, actually, I did find it, and and then Tessa, well, obviously he didn't trust me enough, just to tell me.
Oh my god, my sister's in the chat team. Bless her, she's back from work. Do you think if he told Tajan now, then Tajan would want the idol from Dante before he finds his? Charlotte has probably been listening to strategy podcasts, and now she's waltzing in here with some serious questions. How is Dante going to ensure that he gets an equal 1-for-1 handoff?
Yeah, this has been done before in Australian Survivor with David and Sean, and David just slipped Sean a fake card and got the good one. So
knowing that the idols are rocks, it's a pretty easy transition from rock to rock.
That's true. And there might be the idol from the first camp that never got played, I believe. The one that expired. I don't think that got played. Potentially that could be put in there as a fake idol. Maybe that is the fake idol that...
We're
No,
running out. We're
yeah.
losing track of the idols. It's
Anyway,
fine.
look, either it's an edit or it's an interesting move. But I think Charlotte makes a really good point. There is that risk. And the thing about South African Survivor, like I mentioned, is they generally have 2 swaps. So if you get swapped onto the other tribe, then you might have the idol for the other tribe. Like, that's how they did it in Australian Survivor. I don't know if it's what they'll do here, but that was the rule in Australian Survivor. You could bring it with you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, if they've found it, Charlotte reckons they'll have removed it by now. But I mean, it depends how many idols they want in circulation.
I don't think they removed the fake idols. I think
no, they won't.
There's too much good TV if it. What I was saying, Charlotte, is someone found it perhaps, and then they've still got it, but it's not useful.
We'll have an expired idol, use it as a fakie. All right, so we're on episode 2, winding it back to where we were at. Episode 2, or at least boot 2, because I can't remember. Oh, was it episode 3 where everyone's dying? All right, so episode 2 is when Seamus is going. Now, Dino very sincerely wants to kind of rebuild his relationship with Seamus. Seamus is all like, oh no, like I need to gun for Dino. Listening to the exit interview, he doesn't seem to like, he thinks that was a very stupid move because he was clearly never going to be able to get rid of Dino. What do we think about how Dino somehow managed, I think you were saying this before, somehow managed to take all of the credit for that move, leaving sweet Felix and Phil unscathed. What did you think about the Seamus boot, Max?
I felt, from my perspective watching that episode, it really felt like it was Phil and Pinty kind of controlling that vote in a way. I know that's my interpretation of it. And getting that information. Who was it that Seamus spilled the beans on gunning for Dino, and then that person ran straight back to
I think it was
Phil
or Shona?
It was Shona or Pinty?
He said to Shona, well, or both of them. He certainly said it to Teresa. You're right, Teresa. Sorry, Charlotte's watching. Teresa. And Shona said in her exit interview that Seamus had miscalculated, had gone to her and said, you were left out of the last vote. You're on the bottom. And her response to that was, or in her mind was, yes, I understand why, because I was actually quite close with Tevin, but Dino is my number 1 in this game. And I'm definitely sticking with him over you. So I imagine that it didn't matter who Seamus was going to there, Teresa or Pinty or Shona, all of them were going to go back to Dino with that information.
Especially and while they weren't showing it, Dino had said to us, the audience, that he liked Seamus. He still felt he had something with Seamus. He wanted Tevin gone. He didn't want Seamus gone. He would do what he could to keep Seamus in the game. So with that in mind, he might not have been pushing it hard, but in these conversations he's having with these close people, he's probably like, oh, what about someone else? Like, and they're saying, let's do Seamus. He's like, oh, what about this person? And they're like, he's like not on board with Seamus. And as soon as they found out that Seamus was like after him, well, you just tell him. And that's why at Tribal, he turned to him and said, like, and Seamus looks at him like, dude, like, why would you do that to me? He's like, you were coming for me, mate. I'm sorry. Like, I had to get you there. And Seamus was like, Like, he just admitted it. Like, he's like, yeah.
It's like, it's you and me. It was basically, I think going back to what I was saying before, from memory, it actually was Pinty going back to Phil, and Phil kind of orchestrating that Seamus vote with Pinty, making it Pinty's idea, because Phil wanted Seamus gone,
and then he went to Teresa,
and well, because Seamus went to both Teresa and Pinty, and obviously did the scramble, did the rounds, and goes back to the key alliance of the tribe.
Phil is
Feels very
sexy.
good.
Feels sexy.
Yeah,
He's
he'll be even
so
sexier if he
hot.
wins this. Oh, tell me about it.
I feel it was incredibly foolish. Seamus was very foolish on this. He was out of the numbers the prior vote, and somehow he convinced himself like he wasn't scrambling and was actually pulling together like some set of numbers that wasn't going to backfire on him. And like, this is going to work. It's going to be the biggest blindside ever. I'm like, you were doing what you're supposed to do, but like he had this confidence about it. Like somehow he was in the numbers.
Well, if not Dino, who should have Seamus gone for in that position?
Kalani.
Yeah.
Because she was in the alliance too. She was also out of the numbers. In that scenario, when you've lost numbers, just throw someone else under your alliance under the bus until you can survive and get a swap. Like
and obviously we didn't get that edit. We never saw that or never saw those conversations. It was quite clear it was the Dino versus Seamus episode. But do you guys remember the cheeky look? I think it was this episode. The look to camera Dino gave when I think it was Pinty and Teriso having a chat. He just does the cheeky. He's talking to them, and then he goes to the camera. He's like, "Huh?"
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Was that this episode?
I think so.
I don't know. It was. I found that hilarious.
Now I want you to comment on something, Annabelle. I switched off. I can't remember why. I didn't listen to Seamus's final words, and then you posted on Twitter that Seamus's words were making you tearful, heartbroken. What did he say that was so meaningful? I did not see it.
I had some rare sympathy for Seamus. So I called out Seamus as the, bless his soul, is his surname Meldrum? The golfer. Having a temporary mind blank.
Andy.
It's the LaCroix. The Andy Meldrum of Australian Survivor. Some people just have untrustworthy energy and people don't want to play with them. I know, Josh, I have sympathy. I felt a rare shot of sympathy for Seamus. In his final words, he said, "This has been a really emotional journey for me. And even though I've been voted out, I feel like I've been able to lay to rest," I'm paraphrasing, a really dark part of myself.
Dark part of his life.
Yeah, and a dark part of his life. And listening to him talk about that in the exit interview as well, about how he had been a very excessively confident, cocky individual who, and the amount of self-reflection that he's had to do and that blow to his ego that going out first and how he wanted to be a softer, kinder person coming in the second time round. I mean, he kind of then blew the sympathy for me by then talking about how Survivor's not a game where you can be nice to people and then naming all of the people he respected in the game who just happened to be max picks, like boring white dudes. So yes, Seamus be Seamusing, but I did think that it was quite moving that he had actually had a rare moment of self-reflection.
So I just want to so clear this is a sympathy for these moving words of a former first boot coming back. Then Josh Peterson said this. Do you have the similar sympathy now hearing those words for Josh Peterson?
I just want to see that Josh has had some self-reflection. I mean, Josh loves to bring up being first boot, but has Josh finally realized he may or may not be the second coming of Jesus? That remains to be seen. Now, Charlotte has a strategic question. Should Seamus have played the idol for Pinty instead of himself? Yes. I mean, in hindsight, yes. In his exit interview, he says no because it would have pissed people off or whatever. But in hindsight, instead of playing it for himself, he absolutely should have played it for Pinty, right?
Why would it? Hang on. What were the votes? Why would that have worked?
It wouldn't have. It would have made no difference. Tanya would have still gone home, but Pinty would have felt like Seamus flipped on him.
We're talking about that vote. Sorry, yes, the prior vote. Yeah. And then it's followed up with a question here. Would it have made difference to his boot order? It depends on if you think that Pinty is purely an emotional person who reacted to that circumstance and felt that Seamus wasn't with her, or whether that was just she's a lot more strategic and she's playing up a lot of this emotiveness about things like that. It's probably not that. So yes, in that circumstance, Seamus potentially should have done that. Like, it's if they're your alliance partner and they're copping votes, and you know they're copping votes, and yeah, you're going to pile it all on this other person. So as long as you got the numbers, you're set. Then fine. But if you're the one copying the votes, if it doesn't work out, if the person you're loading on has an idol, and we know there's a lot of them around, then you're gone, and that doesn't make you feel comfortable. That's always a risk. And when you can be saved, when you've got a good idea on where the numbers are sitting, then it's reasonable to expect that your alliance partner would play that idol on you, if it's about keeping you safe on the bounce back idol. So I feel like I don't know if she was angry at him, but I think what it showed is that he doesn't care enough about her and having her with him as part of his group, as part of his numbers, to worry about losing her. He doesn't care if he doesn't have that number. If he cared about that number, he would save her because it's an important number, like it is for Phil. Piney's a very important number for Phil.
I feel like Seamus's mindset at the time was that Piney would always be an easy next vote off, hence being disposable. Thinking of Piney as being disposable or just an easy boot.
But that's the wrong it's the wrong mindset though, because if they were actually close, she's a number, and eventually she's someone you can take to the end. Like, she's a fantastic alliance partner as long as you can handle her moods and her attitudes and her eating all the food and everything like that.
I don't think he could. Obviously, he wanted it gone as soon as possible.
That said, to Charlotte's question, I don't think it changed. Yes, he should have done it to appease Pinty because it would have made no difference. But I don't think it changes the boot order, because ultimately the decision to vote out, to flip onto Tevin and Seamus, the perceived couple, is not a decision made by Pinty. It's a decision that came together with Dino, Phil, and Felix, who felt that the other two guys had too much of a voice. And I think that would have only heightened Seamus's threat level by now, oh my God, look, he's got Pinty on side as well by having played an idol. Snyder, we're here for you, honey.
If you go back, Snyder, and listen to the first half of this, we've been talking about Pinty a lot. My view is your pick is going all the way to the end as a no vote finalist these days. That's where you're going to end up.
I was just going to bring that up. Pinty's going far. She's going
a long way. No one in their right mind is even thinking about voting off Pinty anymore.
And just keep her in for the value. She's just awesome TV this last few episodes.
Liz asks, how does Pinty compare to Abby Maria? Easier to get the end. Yes, I think that yes, easier, because I think Pinty, for the most part, you can count on her to sort of vote the right way. Whereas Abby Maria, it was always a risk she would just do her own thing, right? Like, that was always a risk for her.
Well, Pinty's definitely. She's proved that she does what's right for the majority. Even
and
playing
and can really play it up, like the way we talked about earlier, when she played up the Kalani boot.
Exactly.
Schneider wants us to talk about he's finished 14th in a live reality games paint scheme. Schneider, for those familiar with our podcast who might not have heard about him before, he's a good friend of live reality games, and he drives virtual racing at a competitive level and has live reality games paint scheme all over his cars. That's 14 out of how many, Schneider? Matt says we started during Hunted. How do you guys think you'd go on Hunted, the two of you as a couple?
We need to go back to Sunday. I had something to say about Pinty. Obviously, Max and I would be amazing at Hunted. We know a lot of rich people with helicopters, which is the only thing. Pinty, you know what? Respect to Pinty. Snyder, love you, honey, but that is nothing to brag about. Pinty doesn't. Pinty's never the one to, well, I say never. She's often not the one to initiate the conflict. It's never Pinty being like, oh, you suck. It's everyone being like, Pinty, you suck, which is, I think, fundamentally the difference between her and Abby. Abby's the one creating imaginary fights out of nothing. Pinty is the one with obnoxious behaviors that induce other people to start on her.
Agree.
Very fair.
Um,
14 out of 17 is good. Keep improving, buddy. Next podcast, it better be 10 out of 17, and then 5 out of 17, then 3 out of 17. Then you win.
This is why Max is the supportive parent of our future puppy.
of Randy. Well, now we're getting to the end of the. I think we've talked about most things that happened in this episode.
We've got to get to this. Can we move? Leah, I need to pour myself another beverage. Can we move on to the Shona boot now?
Yeah, Shona's boot. All right. What
about the Switch tribe? Is anything interesting there that we want to discuss, or we feel like changes the dynamics of the game for a particular person?
I think we should probably only talk about Shona's ability, because it will lead to her boot as well, to choose the tribe that she wanted to go to. Otherwise, it was pretty random, it was a bit of a nothing point. Like she's like, I'm going to go to the Outcast hut thing. I forgot what it's called, and that makes sense. Maybe she's going to go there, join the losing tribe, the usual sort of thing that happens in odd number swaps. But it's like, no, you can just get the pick, and she chose the tribe which had less people from her original tribe, which admittedly she was not really in the numbers of. And she said her number one, but do you think her number one being Dino, is that why she...
So Josh Peterson's alluding to this in the chat in her exit interview, and this was just heartbreaking. This is why we stand Shona. She said, my two main allies, Dino and Phil, were down in the numbers, and I felt like I owed it to them to go and help them, and we could work something out together. Yeah, her resume could be great. And so... yes, that would be more of a feat to have pulled off.
Yeah.
And then for Phil to get cold feet and flip on her, it was Max had even classic Max had even pre-researched on Wikipedia who was voting for who, so he knew exactly how it was going to go down. We were still screaming at the laptop like it was still the most shocking thing.
How often do you do that, Max? You're like some sort of psychopath. I know you've done this before.
Not often. Just every vote.
Are you one of these people that looks at the football scores before you watch the game because you can't handle watching your team lose?
No, well, I'm watching it live, so
bring up Charlotte's comment. I know, Max.
I just like knowing. I don't know. It's just a thing that it started when I started watching The Amazing Race. I just found out who lost that particular episode, and I've done it ever since. It's
I'll tell you what.
A bad habit.
I'll tell you what. I Survivor is sometimes hard to watch when you know the outcome. And it's 10 times better when you've got money on the line. That makes it even better. So money on the line, not knowing the outcome, is the purest way to watch Survivor and enjoy it. Knowing the outcome and having nothing on it can be a bit of a troll if they're not good episodes.
Well, I like to see how the episode's edited around who the potential vote offs are, like the way they act, the way they talk.
Put this back up again.
We need John for a proper diagnosis. But I think that Max might have a crippling anxiety disorder, like maybe just can't handle the stress of not knowing. Oh, yeah, Charlotte, this is exactly it. You watch it twice so that you can see how it's edited and experience the shock the first time round. But no, look, as I've always said, I'm dating Max for his incredibly attractive looks and parent money. not the way he chooses to watch Survivor, that's for sure.
At least I watched Survivor. That's another positive, I guess. And
and
discuss
so-
it on a Monday
and-
night.
And in a relationship, sometimes you need a yin and a yang. You know, if you were just
Yeah.
with another total complete bitch, Annabelle, it would just be a pool of absolute negativity. Yeah, you got to balance it out.
As you said, yin and yang.
Yeah.
Yin and yang. Moving on. That's
So
lame,
Phil,
lame topic.
But Phil couldn't really do anything, could he? Like the numbers weren't there.
No, they weren't.
No, he had the numbers.
What? Did you watch the same episode?
Okay, I'll admit I came back and watched this after a big night, so I was reasonably intoxicated when I watched this episode.
Okay, all right, let's
fill me in. Fill me in, literally.
It was news. Oh, Max, you go. No, you go.
No, you don't, Annabelle, please.
No, babe, I want this for you.
No, I'm handballing it off. You'll give it the perfect.
Oh, so here's the
cherry on top.
No, they did not have the numbers, but there was a split vote. So the plan was to split on Dino and split on Shona, with one extra vote on Shona. Dino found the idol. Dino went to Palesa and said, look, here's the plan. Are you willing to roll with it? And she said, and showed her the idol as a sign of trust. Dino and Palesa also have a relationship outside of the game because Dino is really tight with the Philippines crew.
Yeah.
Palesa says, all right, I'll tell you what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to swap my split vote from Shona and put it on Dino so that the majority of the split votes are on Dino.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be 3 on Dino, 2 on Shona.
Yeah.
And that means, 4 on Dino, 3 on Shona. And if all of you guys put your votes on Dante, then that will be, and you play your idol on yourself, that will then result in null and void votes for Dino, 3 votes on Shona, 4 votes on Dante. Dante is out of the game.
Wouldn't it have been 3 on Dante and they had to do a revote?
No. Absolutely not.
Where are they getting these 4 votes for Dante?
So they've got Phil, Dino. Oh, sorry, maybe it's 3. Maybe I'm missing.
It was 3.
It was a revote. So what Palesa was saying is, I'll go with this, but I'm not going to put myself on the line.
There was no revote. It was
3-3-2.
Thank you, Josh.
3-3-2.
3-3-2. So 3 and the 3 on Dino were going to be nullified.
So why?
So Phil, he got cold feet at the tribal. So he starts to freak out. If you remember,
I don't. I was already drunk.
Oh, sorry. No, you don't remember. You're blackout drunk. We're a professional podcast here, team. Marion turns around and says, there's always a plan C and a plan D. And all of a sudden, Phil starts freaking out. And Phil thinks, oh my God, what if they're actually splitting votes on me? It's really important that we make sure Shona goes home because I cannot cop getting the votes on me. And so Phil flips his vote at the last minute from being on Dante to being on Shona, blows the entire plan. He's also sitting there in Shona's ear going, don't play your fake idol. Don't blow up your fake idol. Don't blow up the tribal council. Don't do anything. Basically Phil gets cold feet and blows the entire move.
Did Dino play the idol?
Yes,
he did.
Dino played the idol on himself. Dino was blindsided by Phil. Shona was blindsided by Phil. Phil got a flashy.
What a disaster. Absolute disaster of a move.
It would have been move of the season and completely changed the outcome of this game. But obviously, Shona went out and Dante might have stayed.
That's the hashtag. Classy Phil.
I really like Palesa's play in it too. Like, it's like, look, I'm just going to switch my vote, right? And then if this doesn't come off, if you don't play your idol, well, I can be like, hey, I just got my vote wrong. Sorry. Like, it's great for her. She's got plausible deniability if they don't do what they're saying. But if they do it, they're set. This is an absurdly great move that was ruined by just some paranoia because Nico said something about Plan C.
No. I think it was Marion said something about Plan C. He even said in his voting confessional, he said, "I've just something feels off. I've just started getting paranoid. I'm sorry, I can't vote for you."
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, gutting.
It was tough. Tough result.
Charlotte wants a prediction. Who's going to be the next group from that tribe? Oh God, who's even on that tribe?
Phil.
So we have
it's gotta be Dino.
Dante. We have Dante, Dino, Phil, Marianne, Meryl, Palessa, and Shane.
I would say that Dino's going to throw Phil under the bus.
Oh, you know what? No. Rewind. Meryl has a soft spot for Dino. Sorry, Charlotte. We are enthusiastic. We're trying. So Meryl, we try. Yes, we hope we lose Phil. No, we don't, because Phil's kind of sexy, even though he's got performance problems. There was a push from Dante. Really wanted Dino out, and it was the girls who pushed back and said, "No, we want Shona instead." So I reckon if they start pushing hard, if Dante starts pushing hard for Dino,
which he will,
what?
He absolutely will.
The girls could flip. The girls split and take out Dante.
It might be the right time to take out Dante.
Well, that's the pre-merge Dante boot.
Yeah.
It could be the right time.
Prediction.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually a very fair call.
And who's Dino got now? I mean,
Felix.
Dino does have Phil. I reckon they'll still rekindle that.
Dino has everyone though. All the ladies love Dino. Every single one of them. They all
Dino's going to win.
No, I feel like he's too likable. He's too likable, and he comes across as a really big strategic threat. So no, I think a woman's going to win this season. Lots of good women.
Oh yeah, Josh's got some tea. I mean, we love Shane. What a douche. Yes, I think we could smell a Dante blindside coming. What do you think, Charlotte?
Well, for my sake, hopefully not, but it'll be good TV. It'll be a good episode. Obviously, Dante is going to blow up, and we'll see him scramble. But the next 4 episodes this week is going to be pretty interesting.
Do you think we're going to get 4 boots this week, or will there be a cliffhanger, or someone else gets medevac?
I feel like we might get another switch. What do you think of that?
Are we due for a merge? Because this is a very short season, don't forget.
No, we started with 20 people.
We got 6 boots, 6 people out.
They're down to 14.
14 left.
They'll do another swap, and then they'll go to maybe 12, and then merge it.
Right.
Maybe not. The Charlotte doesn't think they would do that. Look, that's probably true, but from the previous South, Charlotte says, I don't think they would do the 2 tribe idols if there's another swap. That's a very good point. It's just that for the last 4 seasons, they've always done multiple swaps. I've always found it too swappy. It's often painful, and you never know who's been on what tribe and what the relationships are in South Africa. Josh says the merge will be 11 and 9. Yes, it will be, because it'll be final 2, like it generally is. I think it could be at 9. All
right, honey. We're nearly at an hour. I'm craving another vodka. Let's do our normal.
The total package picks.
The total package.
Max, what was the challenge moment of the week?
No. I'm just calling my total package moment was Shane looking through the package, aka the bags, right after Shona said that we're going to play a nice, friendly game at this tribe where we're not going to look through people's belongings. We're going to be nice, all kumbaya, but cut to Shane looking through someone's bag, not giving 2 Fs, and just being a savage. I love that. That was moment of the week for me.
What's your moment?
Love that, honey. But you also have to, I love that as the moment for the week, but also you have to think of your top challenge moment.
You're the challenge guy.
Is Max he's actually not watched 3 out of the 4 episodes from this week?
Just say the mud challenge and move on.
It has to be the mud challenge with Pinty's elbow to Shona's ribs was was the moment.
Vote on the group here. Was it actually the sound, or did they add that in post? That crack. I feel like
She was wailing.
I feel like she was pretty. She couldn't breathe.
She just got winded. She's gassed. She's got no food for however many days she's been up there.
That crack, I think, was added in post for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to suggest. I'm not saying she wasn't in pain, but she came back to the game, so she clearly didn't break a rib.
Fracture the rib. She did fracture a rib.
Oh, she did fracture a rib.
Well,
what a tough
there
cat.
you go. So it's a crack. It's a crack.
Okay, what was the best social move of the week, Annabelle, for you?
Yeah, I was trying to remember what went down. I've got the current recency bias / availability heuristic, and so I was trying to think what went down on the swapped merged tribe, and I couldn't really think of anything. I mean, I loved Steffi and Kalani bonding over both being muscular, and then Teresa just sitting there and being like, la, 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 I don't relate to this at all, but it would be awkward if I got up and leave. So I liked that, but I actually thought that the social move of the week has got to go to Dino for just somehow getting all of the women to love him on that swap tribe, and having Meryl and Marion come together and say to Dante, nope, he's going to stay. We're taking out Shona.
Great. And for the strategic move of the week, well, obviously the strategic move would have been the thing that I missed if I wasn't passed out, but it didn't happen. So I can't really say that either, because it was the strategic disappointment of the week. I'm going to say the strategic moves I've been enjoying this week are Tony, because we haven't talked much about Tony this week. And she sort of started this week very much on the bottom, and has really worked her way through the swaps. She's in a fabulous position with PK and Tevin gone. Like, I know she was sad about it, like whatever at the time, but that was bad for her to have those people around.
It helps her game.
Helps her game. She's lost her people now. She's a number. She's a solo flyer. She doesn't really have alliances, and she's being picked up as a number. And I think she's playing a really good strategic game, because in her first season, she was often always in the numbers. She was either like tied to the hip with Werner, and then tied to the hip with Werner, and then tied to the hip with PK, and then then she was done. Like, she was in the numbers, and then she wasn't, and then she was booted. Like, she never really did anything. Whereas here, she is doing her own thing and building these relationships that she's got. And I think you'll see some really great. That's how you get to strategic play. You need relationships to do strategic play. She's a massive strategic player, and I think pretty soon she will start executing those moves, and it will be good times for Tony. I could see her going deep into the game. All right, well, thank you, everyone, for joining us, our 4 or 5 viewers that have been through here. We've got a love heart and a couple of smiley faces. That's the most emojis we've generated out of an episode. So we must be particularly increasing the quality. We thank you for joining us. Tune in for another week, and we'll be back in a week's time to discuss all things Return of the Outcasts.
Next week, I promise to wear even less clothing.
Ooh, maybe I should wear less clothing.
I'm going to wear more clothing as contrast.
Bye, guys.
I might wear a beanie.